Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching. I am Sandra Lee, and today I have a guest expert with me. This is Stacey Phillips, and I know Stacey through a program that she started, Ask Stacey Now, or Travel the World of Healing. And I'm going to let her talk to you about that. But I am an alternative kind of practitioner who works with Stacey to help people who are struggling with health issues. So I'm going to let her talk about that. The things that she is doing with this program are so wonderful, just to make available to people who need it a whole variety of different services and practitioners. So it's a wonderful idea that I love. Okay. Hello, Stacey.
Hello, how are you?
Great.
Wonderful. Well, that was a beautiful introduction. I could have asked for anything more. So I guess I'll start off by telling you a little bit about the program. So, like Sandra said, we actually did this together. What I found was years ago, I was having lots of problems with my health. I have a pretty significant neurological autoimmune disease. And I really wanted to kind of figure out what was going on with me. And so I worked with a naturopath. And one of the things that she told me was, you need to relax. In addition to all the things we were doing for my gut, you need to relax. And here's some other things that you need to do, except they were very ambiguous, if I knew how to relax, I wouldn't be in this situation, right? And she didn't really give me any tools and techniques. She just kind of threw it out there and said, your central nervous system is overworked and you just need to learn how to relax so we can get your central nervous system down. And I thought, well, that's really wonderful, but I don't know how. And then she mentioned some other tools and techniques, but again, didn't really give me any guidance. And so I went through and decided that I was just going to become a functional nutritionist as well. What better way to learn things is to do it myself. And so I kind of believed all the hype. If you heal the gut, you heal the disease. And so I really started focusing on my nutrition, got my gut really sound. I'm a whole foods kind of person. I'm gluten-free. I'm all those really great things now that catch the new fad diets. My supplements are really strong, and yet my disease and my symptoms weren't going away. And so I started reaching out to friends, and I did own my own brick and mortar health and wellness facility, and started talking with a lot of my more holistic, or what I now call energy healing. Started talking to them and saying, okay, so what else could I be doing? And the doors just kind of opened wide. And I realized nutrition is extremely important. And yes, the majority of your immune system is in your gut. But if you can't relax, if you can't get your central nervous system under control, if you can't heal the traumas in your life that are keeping you in panic attacks and anxiety attacks and not allowing you to move forward energetically, then those things will always be trapped in your body. And one of the things that was really wonderful that everyone all the experts helped. And I have to say, you are just one of those amazing experts that I was so blessed to come in contact with. But one of the things that how I like to think of energy is just like blood has a natural flow. And when somebody has a heart attack, if they have a blockage, blood will find a way to create new veins and new arteries around the blockage to continue to keep the blood flowing. It's the same way with energy. If we don't allow energy to come through and to allow it to be released, and whatever that looks like, whether it be anger, sadness, grief, or crying, it gets stopped. And emotions will find a way to come out because they have a natural flow as well. Unfortunately, if they don't, they get trapped, and they get trapped in muscles and nerves and throughout the body, and then it causes disease. And so we want to think of disease as, well, it's genetics. And what I tell my clients is, if you act the same way, eat the same way, exercise the same way, have the same belief system as your parents, it has nothing to do with genetics. You're just following the same path. If you change any part of that, you change your health journey. And so I know we all like to think genetics has a huge part, and it does but actually it plays a very, very small part in our disease process and our wellness journey. So to me, it was really important for me to have a program where it wasn't me telling people, here's your nutrition, and now just meditate, just relax, just get your Zen going, and then leaving them. And also, I can't be the expert in everything. There's no way. There's not enough hours in the day. And if that were the case, I would be 100% healthy and, standing up on stages and doing all kinds of really great miracle working. I really wanted to surround myself with this program with the experts so they could give the exact tools, techniques, and the whole science and everything behind it so that people got it right from the horse's mouth and got it the best way possible. And really, I didn't want to butcher it. I mean, I can't know everything and I can't know the intricacies of everything. And so I wanted to make sure that people were getting the exact tools from the experts. And that's why I kind of went on this journey to find all the experts and to find as many energy healing modalities as I possibly could and integrate them into these programs so that people can find exactly what works for them to give them benefit. Because just like pharmaceuticals and just like fad diets, what works for one person doesn't work for another. So if I just give you one modality, that may not be what your body needs. And so I wanted to provide a plethora of modalities. So when you find one that really works for you, you know that modality works for you. Or if you find an expert that resonates with you and you say that's their story is my story and I want to work with them and learn more, then you can reach out to them and learn straight from the expert. So that's kind of short story long, but that's kind of how this whole program started, was my health journey. And then it just blossomed into something so much bigger and so much better than anything I could have possibly imagined. And I've come in contact with so many amazing people.
Thank you. So nice to hear the story again. So I'm going to ask Stacey a question here in a minute, but if any of you have questions, you can put it in the comments, and I'm going to do the best I can to get those accessible from Facebook. So just letting you know, you can ask questions. So Stacey, tell me a little bit about how your relationship to all these different aspects of life has changed and how it impacts your health.
So when I first was diagnosed, I kind of jokingly say I was the perfect storm for an autoimmune disease. I was in a horrible marriage that was physically, physically abusive. I was a young mom. I got pregnant in high school, so I had a lot of that internal guilt that I had let people down as well. I stayed with my husband at the time, and we had 3 children together. And my thing was, well, you made your bed, you lie in it. And so I stayed in a horrible marriage because I had children. I thought that was my responsibility. I worked probably 80 hours a week. I went to school full time, had 3 full-time kids. I was angry all the time. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat right. I was around 250 pounds. I smoked like a chimney and drank like a fish because I was so unhappy. And so if that's not the perfect storm for an autoimmune disease, I don't know what is. Luckily, after about 14 years, we got divorced. So I always say I didn't have a life sentence. I got time off for good behavior. But I did find that I really needed to figure out who I was. Because at that point I did have an autoimmune disease. It hadn't progressed to the point where I was disabled at the time. But it had progressed. And so I really took a lot. When I got divorced, I took 5 years and just I read books by Dr. Phil. I did Tony Robbins. I really wanted to focus on me because I thought if I made these decisions, and this is the man I chose and the life I chose, what's going to stop me from making that decision again? If I haven't changed anything, then I haven't changed my decision-making process either. And so throughout this whole wellness journey, what I really come to realize is every time I kind of reach a stumbling point, instead of saying they've made me mad and they did this to me and it's genetics and I become the victim and saying none of this is my fault and everything is, happening to me, I really now take a step back and say, what caused this and what could I have done differently or handled differently? And even to this day, I don't say that I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And kind of, I'll give you a little background. Right before Sandra and I got on this conversation, my grandson had made a huge mess. And obviously I wasn't happy. And there was lots of yelling going on in the background. And so do I make the perfect decisions all the time? No. But what I do realize is when it does happen, I realize that there's something that has to change. And then I go and research and I do the hard work to figure out how can I do this differently. And I think that's the important part is once we get to a point where we realize we can only control ourselves, we cannot control anyone else. And so you can't say you made me mad. There's something that made you mad that has nothing to do with that person. And you need to figure out what that is all about you. And so whether it is your nutrition or it is your stress level or it is your unhealthy eating or your unhealthy sleeping or whatever that may be, if there's something going on in your life, you need to stop and look and say, what can I do differently? Because no one around you is going to be able to change anything for you. You have to make that decision. And so that's really been my whole journey, is really figuring out. And then once I started figuring out, I thought, man, how many people don't know? Because we're fed the hype. Go on a ketogenic diet, go paleo, go vegan, heal your gut, heal your disease. But it wasn't. So what was I doing wrong? And there's no wrong, there's no right. I just needed to change some things. And I knew that if I needed to change things, and I have college degrees and all kinds of really great things, but that didn't help. I needed somebody to really sit down and say, Stacey, what are you doing? What can you do to change? And the only person that could say that was me. So it was really a kind of an eye opener. It's so easy to play the victim. And it was really hard to say, no, everything that's happened in my life has been my choice. And granted, if I haven't always made good choices, what did I learn from them? Instead of being the victim, you have to think, well, everything's an opportunity to learn. And sometimes they're hard opportunities. I'm not going to lie. I mean, would I rather not went through all those experiences? Absolutely. But I wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't be helping people if I hadn't.
Yeah. So thinking about people who might watch this, right? If they're really struggling with something, whether it's health related or otherwise, really, what's the first step somebody was going to take? So it's like listening to you. Somebody says, oh, that's a great idea, but how do I do that? What's the first step?
My first step, I truly feel, is about mindfulness. And it's not about sitting in a room and everybody holding hands singing Kumbaya. I think we've become very lackadaisical with our verbiage on this being Zen and all those kind of things. My thing is being very mindful. And one of the really great things, regardless of whatever it is that's going on with people, is journaling. And so I actually give people what's called a food, mood, poop journal. And I took this from when I went through functional nutrition, becoming a functional nutrition coach. What you say is you write down exactly what you're eating, exactly how your body's reacting to that. So mood doesn't just mean I'm happy, I'm sad. It means, how is your body reacting to it? Did my heart start racing? Did I have a sudden twitch in my eye? Whatever that looks like. And then poop, we all know what poop is. And when I tell them, I'm kind of the queen of poop, because I say, what does it look like? What did it smell like? Was it floating? Was it not? I mean, we really get in deep. But I really want you to not only think about that, but my whole thing with this whole program is for people to become mindful. And so let's say you wake up in the morning and you have a rash on your arm. Before you go to grab that pill or that cortisone cream, I want you to think, did I eat something wrong? Did I put something on my skin wrong? Did I have a bad reaction? And so with journaling, what you see is, okay, so I ate this food and I had this really bad indigestion, but I was also in a meeting and there was tons of tension there. And there was lots of yelling. And there's this one person that I just triggered that just triggers me all the time. And then I ate really spicy food. So was it the food? Was it the situation? Was it the emotion that was going on? It's really about being mindful and stopping and thinking, what is everything that's going on? If something's going on in your body, in your system, what is everything that can affect you? What is everything that's going on? And it's really about being mindful. And to me, that's the very first step, because even if you have this beautiful diet, beautiful supplements, like in my case, there were still things going on that would not allow my body to heal properly. And so it wasn't just about the food, and we all want to think it is, but there's so much more to that. And it's just really listening to your body. And that's a hard one. That's a hard one.
And it can be really hard to pull all the pieces apart to see, because, what you just talked about is so many different elements all mashed in there together. And any one of them could be what triggers,
absolutely,
a set of symptoms, or it could be all of them together.
Absolutely.
So like Stacey was saying, if you don't have a record of everything you ate, everything that happened, how you felt, the mood that she was talking about, and you have to see it over time to get the connections. And food, at least, I mean, this food, it can be weeks after you have a food that you could have a reaction.
Absolutely.
And it makes it really complicated trying to understand what causes what.
Well, and so I'm going to tell you, if you allow me to, I'm going to tell you a little story. My son was in the military, and he's gotten out now. Today, and actually, it's his last day in the military. But so that his wife and his children were moving home, and to get the house ready and to buy a house and all of those kind of things. And then during the transition, my granddaughter started experiencing significant constipation, and she's not even 3 yet. So it was a big deal. And so what I said was, what's going on in her life? And so many people think that when you're young, you don't have stress. Well, the stress of the move made a whole kind of a plethora of change for her. Here's my dad's not with me right now. We're in a brand new place. Here's people that he'd been in the military for 8 years. Here's people that I had never even met before or not really known. I'm not living in my own home. I have a brand new baby brother. He was only a few months old when they came back. And then we also found that she had a dairy issue. And so they got rid of the dairy, but the constipation didn't go. I said, she's extremely stressed. And I'm like, well, what does a 2.5-year-old have to be stressed out about? Well, let's stop and think about that. She can't use her words to tell you she's stressed, that she's afraid at night when she's sleeping in her bed, because that's not her bed. This is all unknown to her. These people are unknown to her. This isn't her usual. And then So then it continued to go on. They took her to the doctor, and of course the doctor then prescribed her things to take to get rid of the constipation. I said, the constipation will come back. We haven't gotten to the root cause. The constipation will come back. She got better because things started to settle down. Then they started saying, well, she can eat cheese again. So they started feeding her cheese again. The constipation came back. And then the other day they were here, and on the way home, she had an ice cream cone. And that night she was sick. And my son said, we're going to have to take her to the doctor. It's all starting over again. I think she's got food poisoning. And I said, now let's think about this. Every time she eats cheese, she gets a reaction. Her body reacts in some way, whether it's constipation, whether it's diarrhea, whether it's throwing up. But then you add the stress of everything else that's going on, because they just went golfing. They were she was so excited, and there were so many people around. And I said, I think a lot of times we think animals, children, or you see these people that have these really great lives, and you think, what do they have to be stressed out about? And yet they're getting disease. We have no idea what affects people. And one of the things that I think is extremely important is recognizing trauma. So I always say, people always want to say, do you have a big T for a big trauma? Like, I was in a car accident, I watched somebody be murdered, I was in a warlike situation, or a little T, I may have gotten spanked as a child, or I may have seen my friend fall out of a treehouse and break their arm. And so many times we do trauma shaming as well. Like, well, I don't know what you've got to be stressed out about. So you were spanked as a child. Well, as a child, that's very traumatic. And whether it's what we consider a big T or a little T, it's still a trauma. And if we don't find a way to reconcile that sticks with us and can cause all kinds of digestive issues, sleep issues, weight gain. I mean, it's so much. There's so many pieces to this. And that's why I think it's so important to journal everything, whether it's not just food journaling, saying, here, I ate this, this, and this, and I got this. It's, I was in the middle of a meeting. I woke up late. I didn't get any sleep that night. Because when you start putting the pieces together and you start saying, wow, every time I'm around this person or eat this thing, I have this reaction. Maybe I should get rid of that. And that gives you an informed, because I don't think it's ever been my goal to be very much like a traditional physician, say, keep coming back to me and I'll keep telling you what's going on. I want you to be the expert on your own body, because symptoms are the only way your body can talk to you. That's the language your body uses. And we just have to start listening to that language, because we speak that language too.
Yep. Sometimes it can be years later that I make the connection. Oh, this is what happened then. And then
Absolutely.
Looking at the impacts of that trauma, that event, that something somebody said sometimes is all that it takes to have this whole stream of effects.
Absolutely. Well, how many times have you heard a song? You've heard a song, or you've smelt a smell and it brings back a memory. It's the same thing. There can be one way that someone treats you, the way someone says something, the way something looks, and that triggers you. You have no idea what it was or why it was. But to me, I always think it's the same thing as when you smell something, you think, oh my gosh, I remember that was my grandma's house. Or that was what happened when whatever. It's a song can bring back memories. A smell can bring back memories. A word can bring back memories. We so many times want to think, again, with the big T, little t, that it's got to be these big events are what we're going to recognize and what have caused these changes. And it's really not. It's really not.
All of the time, doing Biofield tuning, for example, I find someone who's having a symptom or an issue or a place where they're stuck in their life now. And when we're doing Biofield tuning, we're going all the way back and seeing, oh, you know what? This relates to something that happened when you were 2. And so it's like,
Absolutely.
until somebody makes the connection and then chooses now to, am I going to still be limited by something that happened when I'm 2? It can change things tremendously.
Oh my gosh.
Putting those pieces together.
Well, and I actually, I experienced IBS before I even started school. I think I was probably 3 the very first time I saw a gastroenterologist.
Oh my.
And what I'm finding is through all of my, for dealing with all of the experts that I'm dealing with, is there is a very strong correlation between trauma and IBS. And until you actually heal that trauma, your IBS will not heal itself either. And so to me, I kept thinking, wow, what happened to me before I was 3? And there are certain events in our life that our bodies are so very amazing. And I'm a huge fan of analogies. But when I was doing the brick and mortar, I did biofeedback. And I think, Sandra, I probably told you this, but I had a 16-year-old girl that came into my office, and her mom had brought her into me and wanted her to have a session. And she was cutting herself. And she could not figure out why. She went to normal traditional psychiatrist. She was on a plethora of medications, but they couldn't figure out why. They were doing the traditional talk therapy. And we were doing the biofeedback, and something came out that she had some sort of traumatic event that had changed her emotional trajectory. Something I always think of it like if there's a tree that's growing and little boys are walking by every day and hitting it, and then they cut the tree down where there's that dent in the ring, at that time there was something traumatic that happened to it. And so I called the mom into the office, and I said, I see that there was something very traumatic that happened to her at a very young age, like below the age of 1. Now, there was nothing in the machine that said this, but I just truly had this feeling. And when people really need to start listening to their intuition as well. But I said, I almost feel like it's sexual in nature because it's a very traumatic event. And to say that to someone, there's a sexual event below the age of 1, that's horrendous. And the look on the mom's face was very telling. But she said, no, I can't think of anything. The girl obviously didn't know of anything. About a week later, they called and said, can we make another appointment with you and come back in? They came in, and I had this big overstuffed lazy boy chair, and they sat together, and they both just started to cry uncontrollably. And what the mom said was the gentleman that my daughter has grown up with that she thought was her father isn't. This is her stepdad, because her father went to prison because he was sexually molesting her at 6 months old. And our bodies and brains are so amazing. There's no way that girl will ever remember that because she was so young, and their brain would never allow her to remember that, because that's your brain only allows you to handle what you can handle. And for those people that think, oh, I hear that all the time, God only gives you so as much as you can handle. You're still alive. You still got the fight in you. You still have a chance to rectify that. Her brain would not allow her body to know, but her body knew. And there's a book out there that calls The Body Keeps the Score. I would love it if anyone wants to read it. That's an absolutely amazing book. But the reason why she was cutting is because she had to release that trauma. She didn't know why. She could never, no amount of talk therapy in the world was ever going to talk her through that, because she had no memory of it. But her body needed that release to let go of that pain, because the trauma had never been released. And so the body is such an amazing, amazing thing, that it's not just one piece. It's not just your stomach that rules you. It's not just your brain that rules you. Every cell in your body, everything you think, everything you eat, everything you smell, every emotion can change you. And that's what I think that was the hardest part for me. I'm an accountant by trade. I originally started out in nursing, so things have to be science-based. They're very black and white. And so when I started figuring out all of this emotions, and let's talk about feelings, and oh my gosh, all of that. So woo-woo. What are you guys people? What are you talking about? Just eat better, start exercising, and suck it up, buttercup, And that's kind of how I raised my kids. And then when I started thinking, wow, it makes perfect sense. We just really want to pin our hopes on a pill. A pill's going to make it better, and it's never going to make it better. And all it does is manage the symptoms. And I think the thing that makes me the maddest is, as an alternative person, and you know this as well, we have to give the disclaimer. We can't diagnose, we can't cure, we can't heal, we can't treat. But I want people to really think about this. there's not a doctor out there that can say that either. They cannot cure anything because we have everything in our bodies right now. Everybody has cancer. Everybody has MS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. You have it in your body right now. What you do is trigger it. So they're not going to heal you, cure you, treat you, and a pill is only managing your symptoms. You have to figure out what the root cause is and turn that switch off. And if you're hoping for this pill, that it will never happen. You're just managing your symptoms. There are so many amazing stories out there, people that have changed their life around, cured cancer. They've gotten rid of their Parkinson's, their autoimmune disease. There's Terry Walls, who completely reversed put her MS into remission. And that she's my idol. That's really what my whole goal is to really figure out exactly what's going on. And so anyone that thinks that there's a pill or traditional medicine can get them there, it can't. But what I want to do is partner with their traditional medicine provider, and we work as a team, because I want people to start becoming more advocates in their lives and in their healthcare.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being out there, being a support, and a stand for people out there to get that kind of, team, the different resources available, the different perspectives. Because like you said, the medical doctor may say they're diagnosing and treating and curing, but really they're not any better at it than those of us who can't say that we diagnose, treat, or cure.
Well, and just like with an autoimmune disease, if I have all of these symptoms, I have XYZ symptoms. If I take one away and I put another one in, suddenly I have a different disease. They're not diagnosing anything. All a diagnosis is a clump of symptoms. Take one away, you put another one in. Oh, now look, you have lupus. Take one away, you put another one in. Oh, now you have Parkinson's. So it's not even a diagnosis. They're going through the checklist like, yep, they have this, they have this. Oh, 1 + 1 + 1. Yep, that equals this. They're not, a diagnosis means nothing. It really does. It means absolutely nothing. And what I really want to preface is, and I was just as bad, obviously being in traditional medicine was my very first career. I wanted the pill to make everything better. I wanted a doctor to tell me exactly what to do and walk me by the hand. And I didn't have to do the thinking on my own, and I could continue my unhealthy lifestyle. But if traditional medicine and a pill could change anything, why are we becoming more and more unhealthy as a nation? We have plenty of pharmaceuticals. In fact, we have new pharmaceuticals every single day. Why are we the unhealthiest we've ever been? And I want people to think, when I take that pill, has it really changed anything? If I don't take that pill, has it really changed anything? I mean, obviously, a person that has acid reflux or GERD, and they take that pill, it goes away. Well, what it's doing is it's just cutting off your hydrochloric acid production. That actually can cause cancer. So yeah, you've taken care of one problem. So I gave an analogy one time. I said, you eat a sandwich and you get heartburn. And so you throw a pill down and you get rid of the heartburn, which is great. That's your body screaming, there's something wrong, there's something wrong. And quite frankly, in most cases, it's because you don't make enough hydrochloric acid. I apologize. You don't make enough hydrochloric acid, but that's another story. So you take the pill, you get rid of that symptom. Well, the body says, no, really, there's something wrong. So I'm going to give you joint pain now. Okay, so you're taking the pill, you don't have the acid reflux. You go to the doctor and he gives you an anti-inflammatory. So you get rid of the joint pain. And the body's like, whoa, I'm telling you, there's something going on here. Next thing you know, you have a headache. Okay, well, I don't have acid reflux anymore because I've taken a pill, which I've managed the symptom. I don't have joint pain. I've taken an anti-inflammatory. I got rid of the joint pain. Now I got a headache, so I'm going to take an aspirin or ibuprofen or something. And now I don't got that. And the body's like, whoa. All right. Well, you know what? Now you're going to have a heart attack. If you're not going to listen to me and you keep not giving me what I need, now you're either going to have a heart attack or a stroke. Okay. And then let's say we have a surgery and we have a valve replacement. We haven't changed our behavior, our diet, our beliefs, our emotions, our self-talk, anything. And then we wonder why I have a second heart attack or I have another stroke. These people that go through cancer and they have chemotherapy and it kills the cancer. And then they wonder why they get it again. Have you changed anything? You're waiting on chemotherapy to get rid of that. All you've done is just killed all of those cells. You've killed your immune system and you're starting from scratch, but you haven't changed the way you eat, the way you talk, the way you exercise, your emotional beliefs, the situations, the horrible relationships. And again, and this is one of the things I talked about in the blog, the relationships. We have relationships with food, with the people around us. It's all about our relationships. But the most important relationship is the relationship you have with yourself. If you can't, and it's true, if you can't love yourself, no one else can. No one else will ever be good enough. No one else will love you enough if you don't love yourself. And how we treat ourselves is how we allow other people to treat us as well.
Hear, hear. Yay.
And that's a hard lesson to learn,
Yeah. People don't understand that if I take something to suppress a symptom, I'm just pushing it deeper. And it gets deeper, and then it gets bigger. And then what I say is, if I keep not paying attention to the signal, the hammer gets bigger.
Absolutely. One of the analogies I use is like putting duct tape over a baby's mouth. You've stopped the crying. You haven't stopped the reason they're crying. So maybe they're hungry, but you need to figure out why the symptom is happening. What is your body trying to tell you? Because that's the only way it can communicate with you. And it is hard. It's very hard to listen to our bodies. It's so much easier to say, I have a headache. I just want to take a pill, Stacey. I just want the pain to go away. And that's okay. And that's the other part of this that I think is so important. And you may see one of it behind me. I have my husband make a sign that says, own it, in the triangles. If you decide to change nothing, and your journey is to continue to keep going down the traditional way and popping pills, just own that. Don't shame yourself. Don't blame somebody else. If you don't want to learn anything, that's fine. Don't. But the point where we get and we say, I'm having all these things because of my hereditary, my genes. Once you start giving your power away, that means you can't change anything. And there isn't anything in our lives, in our bodies, that we cannot change. We have the power. You never tell a child when they fall down, you're not going to heal. There's no reason to even worry about it. That cut, that's never going to heal. Everything, every emotion, every spiritual belief, every emotional belief, every occupational work-life theory, all of that, everything can be changed, and we all have that power.
Yay.
It's hard. That was a hard one for me. That was definitely a hard one for me to think. And the other one is, again, like I said, I had a horrible marriage, and allowing him, I kept thinking, why is he treating me like this? That's because I'm allowing him to treat me like that. And because what I was saying to myself, you're stupid for getting pregnant when you didn't love him. You were young. What were you thinking? Why are you still here? Everything I was saying to myself, I was allowing him to say, and I kept saying, well, why is he talking to me like this? I don't know, because that's exactly the same thing you're saying to yourself. It took one day when I said, I turned to him and thankfully I did. And I said, I can't make you pay for the rest of your life for the mistakes that you've made, but I can't pay the rest of my life either. And so I relinquished it. And honestly, to forgive, it wasn't about forgiving him. It was about forgiving myself, because I kept thinking, how could you make such a stupid decision? Okay, I did. And I got 3 beautiful children out of the deal. I got 6 amazing grandchildren, which I wouldn't trade for the world. And you know what? That relationship taught me I will never be treated like that again, not by me and not by somebody else. And so if that's what I got out of it, I'm absolutely okay with it. It was a long time coming, but when I look now and look around my life, and I think I am truly, truly blessed. And without that relationship, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't have what I have, and I wouldn't love what I love. And so to me, I'm very thankful that I had to go through that experience.
We learn.
Sometimes the hard way, and it doesn't have to be. And unfortunately, we live what we learn when we're children. We learn those traits and we live those traits. And so if we don't change anything, our paths and our destination is exactly the same as our parents. My parents had a horrible marriage. I had a horrible marriage. I just thought that's what you did. I had horrible eating habits. My father was from the South, so everything was fried in lard, which I got to tell you, Sandra, if you haven't had food fried in lard, you haven't lived. It is absolutely amazing, but is it healthy? Absolutely not. And do you love yourself enough to make some small changes? I did. And do I make mistakes? Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I get angry from time to time. Sometimes I'll say, how stupid could you be for doing that? And I think, whoa. I'm a lot of things. Stupid isn't one of them. So it's about owning it. It's about taking responsibility. And that's It's hard. That is hard. It's much easier to be the victim. It is absolutely much easier to be the victim.
Thank you. So, Stacey, how can people connect with you to see what you offer?
Absolutely. So right now, you can go on my website and just I love people to get to know me first and get to know what this is all about. And there's lots of tools, tricks, techniques, and everything on my website, which is www.askstaceynow. And very, very soon, the link for the new program, the Travel the World of Healing, will be available. And what that does is that it starts out foundationally with nutrition. And then we talk about movement that will help with a certain condition. So the very first thing is digestion. And we talk about very basic digestion issues and how to help those. But it also gives you a lot of experts in different healing modalities specific to that issue. So what we start out with, again, with basic digestion issues. And then we start out with significant digestion issues, how to help those. And those get a little bit more complex. Again, we come up with a nutritionist. We have special movements and exercises that help, and then several healing modalities that are very specific for that. The third module that we have is for pain, and it's for physical pain. And then the last one is for emotional pain. And I want to give people tons and tons of resources out there because, again, you may have tried a diet and I've tried a diet. You may have lost 50 pounds and I've lost 2. Everybody's body is completely unique and they need something specific. And that's why I give them lots of modalities to try, because they'll find one that resonates with them, or they'll find a person that resonates with them and there's something that works with them. So definitely, if people are interested in learning more about this program, go on www.askstaceynow.com, and it's STACEY. And you can learn a little bit about me and about the program and about the experts as well.
And there will be a link associated with the video. So
wonderful. Thank you. And I have to say, and Sandra is one of them. So I truly feel blessed to have met you. And I think you're one of my very, very favorite people in the entire world. So
thank you.
You're very welcome.
So everybody, thank you so much for being here to watch our interview. And thank you, Stacey, for sharing your expertise. And we will have more next week. Karen Carlson is talking about Be Well and Renew, her program.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me.